So I want to know who was Damian before he was Damian Wyldes.
There's actually a really funny, well, not really funny, but there's a story behind it.
Better be hilarious.
Well, it's not really hilarious. It's not as hilarious as my bondage story.
Oh, do tell that one after this
one. I should do stand-up with that story, man. It's hilarious. Well, it just so happened that, I've played with, like, bands for, like, 20 years, something like that. I've actually played like, half of my career in bands and then the other half as a solo artist. And when I was, like, with one of my very first bands that we were very serious and we would tour, like, 6 months out of the year at some point, we were getting an interview. We were sitting in a Village Inn and we were waiting for this guy to come interview us. And he comes in and he's like, hey, what's up, guys? Blah, blah, blah. He comes, sits down. We had one of those big circle booths. He sits down with us and we start having this interview. And then he directs this first question at me and he's like, so, Damian Wyldes, what is blah, blah, blah? And Damian Wyldes, my name's Damian, but Wyldes is my artist name.
Right.
So he just, for some reason, called me Wyldes at that point, right? And everybody was like, thought it was like the most hilarious thing ever. So everybody just went with it. And for the rest of the interview, everybody's like, yeah, Damian Wyldes, what do you think? Yeah, Damian Wyldes this, Damian Wyldes that. And I just thought that the reporter, like, knew my name, my real name. And I thought that he was joking around. So they print up the story and it literally had my, like, Damian Wyldes on it. And I was like, holy crap, this is like, people think this is my real name.
It's your real name, yeah.
And then it was just like a thing that everybody would joke around with. They'd be like, yeah, Damian Wyldes, Damian Wyldes. So eventually, like, everybody would just call me Damian Wyldes. And I was just like, whatever. But when I became a solo artist, that's like, okay, well, am I going to keep, like, what am I going to name myself? So I just kept it as Damian Wyldes after that, like, permanently.
So that's where the Wyldes came about.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's kind of like when people call you by your Instagram name sometimes. Like sometimes you know somebody as their Instagram name.
Yes,
Right?
I do that.
It's Damian Wyldes music.
I admit it. I admit that.
I will freak out if anybody comes up to me and be like, hey, are you music player Ellen?
Right? That would be weird.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're gonna have to say yes.
You're like,
No.
yes and no. It's all yes and no.